Yeah, so welcome. I'm so excited because we have been planning this last 1 month, and then finally this is happening. So this is the first time to do the full online event as Oda City. I'll explain what is Oda City later, but I'd like to introduce first by myself first. My name is Atsushi Taira, and it's not easy to pronounce, so this is a new name. So guy from Japan at sushi place, right? It's easy to pronounce Atsushi. So it's my name. And then we have two great guests. One is a Taizo Son. Taizo has been, kind of great, friend with me last 10 years, I guess. I don't know, Taizo thinks me as friend, but anyway, we'll see. And then Chailing. So we met Chailing, I think, 3 years ago. And then we have been working together. So yeah, maybe firstly, self-introduction. Start with Taizo, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taizo. Nice to meet you online. I just moved to Singapore 3 years ago, but I was born and raised in Japan and Korean passport holder. I've been engaged in the internet business industry for more than 20 years and as a serial entrepreneur. And then in these days, I'm supporting the many startups globally in the world so that we can make a better collective impact to this society. Yeah, and also in these days, I'm locked down in my house and enjoying a lot with my son, 6 years old son, and my wife. And so I thought that this is one of the greatest moments to start new things, to learn. So as you can see it. I started playing a drum, even though I've never played the drum before. But in these days, I have plenty of time, so I'm practicing almost every day, and my skills to drum is getting better and better. So I like this way, enjoying this moment. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, it looks like a lot of guitars and also keyboard, and then almost it looks like a professional musician, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe we can hear one of those.
No way, no.
Forget about all discussion, maybe. Okay.
No way.
Hey, Charing, please.
Yes.
Yourself and also maybe some JTC aspect as well. You're from Jurong Town Corporation, right? So please.
Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Cailing, Poh Cailing. In short, you can call me CL. I'm from the startup. Yeah, I'm from the startup department in JTC. So, but before I start introducing myself, I'm very honored to be invited to join Taizo and Atsushi in this discussion, and also to meet everybody here. So, just a little bit about my organization. JTC is the lead agency to plan, promote, and also to develop Singapore industrial landscape. So basically, we develop land and space to support the evolving needs of companies in Singapore. So the development which my team, the startup department, take care of right now is actually this development for some of the Singaporeans friends here. You might be familiar. It's called Launchpad. So currently we have two Launchpad, one in One North and the other one in Jurong Innovation District. And basically, Launchpad is to provide a conducive environment to support early stage startups. So yeah, I mean, during my course of work, I come across many interesting proposals and concepts that the startups are working on. So I truly believe that entrepreneurs and also startups are like really changing the world. And I believe that it will be especially so after COVID. We'll see more stuff that will be changing the world tremendously in terms of how we work and do things. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I mentioned Audacity, and also we are mentioning Audacity many times, but I may need to explain a little bit about Audacity. So Audacity is an alternative universal design of a city. So together with JTC and also Enterprise Singapore and also Nanyang Tech University, we started this project, and it's almost like a design a city from zero scratch. Because we have been talking about, I think as of Mistletoe as well, we're talking about the future hypothesis, what would happen in the future. what would be good for the future, how we can make a world better place. And then we realized many things should be, change a lot, but it's not easy to change the things a retrofitting way, because the legacy is there, crashing everything and rebuild. I think it's economically not making sense. But, that's why it's quite better to think about what will be the future by design a city from zero scratch. That was a starting point. And then the reason why we come to this point will be a very simple question by ourselves. So last 100 years, why the city design have not changed like this, right? So Taizo Son using this, slide always in 1900, this is New York, Avenue, Fifth Avenue, the buildings and also coaches, some, car and also big road. And 100 years later, of course, more clean and also better shape, but still same structure, right? It's cars and roads and buildings are main. Right, it's quite same last 100 years, and then we have seen a lot of issues like because of the centralization and concentration, urbanization, and employment, lack of community, so food security and wastage issues, and community education and healthcare is high cost, right? So it's quite big issues we are facing, even though we think that okay, urban city will be better. But actually, not exactly, we are not happy somehow, right? And then we realize, okay, current paradigm is more focusing on productivity or efficiency. Nothing wrong, right? It's under capitalism. Productivity is a good thing, efficiency is a good thing. But, sometimes we forget about humans, almost looks in the relation of the human. And then we define as an alternative paradigm, humanity-centric design powered by innovation and technologies. And I would say humanity, not human-centric, because human-centric is more like too much focus on human only. Humanity is think about environment and also other things as well. And then after long debate, we'll come out to some hypothetical words. I think it's mainly coming from Mistletoe discussion, but also we had a long discussion with community, and it come up with these kind of keywords: decentralization, democratization technologies, self-directed, preventive, circular system, grow your own, micro scale, and also community-driven. So these are sort of elements, and also maybe some idea keywords for the future state and also future hypothesis. And then we started building community because those issues are so complicated. It's not easy to solve by one person. Need to have a different perspective and also knowledge and ideas, and need to work together to ideate and also design a city. That's why we studied. And then we decided to put in place a playground for innovators at Jurong Innovation District, and then where we nurture and foster new talents, especially young talents like university or even high school student, because we're talking about future city 10, 20 years later. So obviously current teenager 20s will be the center of the population in the future. And also focusing on technologies which will enable future state and also hypothesis, right? They required mainly coming from a startup, from Singapore or Asia or around the world. So that's kind of intention we had. However, we just started, just a half year ago, and COVID-19 come. So what's the implication? Obviously, we tried to create a community and also physical place, and it's a big hit, right? Because we couldn't have an event, and also we could not do some testing and prototyping. However, we observed, COVID-19 eventually exposed a lot of inconvenient issues of the city or living a society, right? And then we realized, oh my God, what we have been discussing these kind of keywords, when we show this kind of chart to the people, maybe before COVID-19, oh, yeah, wonderful, fantastic idea, but no, maybe 10 years, 20 years, right? But now COVID-19 happening, and then, all people around the world are facing the crisis And then people may think, what was wrong, and then what would be most important, what would be the future state, right? So suddenly, all these keyword can be, I think it's a good guide for the future new normal. So that's why, we think, wow, it could be only one good thing for us because of the COVID-19, people may need to redefine the future sooner than later. So we define that as a movement to gather, reimagine the concept of the cities of living, set a new normal of spaces and societies we want to live. So that's kind of context setting. Okay, so I gotta ask question to Taizo and also Cailing. Yeah, it's kind of easy to answer maybe or not, but I don't care. So we had a free discussion actually once, but maybe I will ignore everything. So that's the thing. It could be a first time for you guys to hear, but yeah, I gotta do an easy one. Yeah, so firstly, kind of more like holistic view and also global view of the impact of the COVID-19. So we don't need to talk about the COVID-19 itself, rather what would be the potential trigger or impact because of COVID-19 for the, globally, the new norm, right? Because we have seen like a weak link attack, right? Like a Singapore foreign workers are suffered, right, a lot because their living environment was very bad, maybe. In Japan, elderly care facilities are, attacked by COVID-19 because maybe the environment was not so great. U.S., rich and poor, big gap that caused a big problem of the maybe death toll, right? And also people thinking about nationalism versus global collaboration or privacy versus big brother, all those discussions happening globally. So I just want to ask, your guys, perspective holistically, what would be the big sort of change and also a new normal? So Taizo-san,
Okay.
Please.
First of all, I feel that the COVID-19 is, if I use the metaphor of the startup terminology, it's a minimal viable global catastrophe, right? Minimal viable global catastrophe. It's because, not so many people died compared to the very bad the viruses and so on. But everybody was so scared, and also everybody has been freezed for a long time and locked down by the government and so on. So, so we all are staying at home, and we have to rethink how should we deal with this kind of situation, and also everybody feels that we have to change anyway, right? We have to change anything anyway. So this is not just a pandemic, but an infodemic, right? And the reason why such a minimal viable catastrophe, global catastrophe, is affecting to our lives is because I have realized that we are living in a city, getting together, so many people getting together in one place, and spending our times in a city area, very congested area. The reason why we are gathering in a city area is because, as you know, it's if you look back the 20th century, the modernization of the industry happened, and we are living as a specialist of certain area, right? Doctor or teacher or consultant or anything, right? So social division of labor has been made, and we are forced to be specialists. We have to specialize to certain area. Of course, we can be the great experts in a certain area, but on the other hand, simultaneously, we are losing the way we live by ourselves. Because, for example, if we without the ordering online, shopping online, we can't get the foods or water and so on. And if the blackouts happens, we have no solutions. So all our concern is the charging the smartphone for the battery. So like that way we are living in a, so our basis of our livings are very fragile, right? So I have realized that this the obvious fact that we are living on an edge, and a very fragile edge. So if I say the conclusion, definitely that we should be distributed, that we should live distributed way. So that, in other words, the decentralization of the population is very important. Otherwise, so the reason why the pandemic, the COVID-19 is such a serious is because we are living in the same area, right? So that's why we are threatened by the infection. So yeah, so we should change in my opinion, we should definitely change the social division of labor as a society. And also we should take back the skills or capability to live by themselves, live by ourselves, creating the energy or water or any kind of foods or any kind of essentials, taking advantage of the advanced technology. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's more like self-sustaining is very important, right? As a country or city or village, whatever it is, that's one point, right? So Chinese, so that is a quite interesting, perspective, right? Because Singapore is actually not so big, right? It's kind of almost a city size, but it's also a country, right? So in that sense, Singapore also need to be self-sustaining as a country and city. So what do you think, your perspective?
Yeah. So I guess in terms of the impact, you're asking about the impact of COVID. I guess for Singapore context, on a personal level, I guess one of the experiences that you go to supermarket, you realize that everything is wiped out. Toilet paper, food, vegetables, and all. So I think what I want to share across is about food security. I think this is really important for Singapore, given that 90% of our food sources are actually coming from internationally. So right now, I think what I understand is that we are only producing 10% of our local produce locally. So as such, I think with COVID, this is actually very important for us to review this part about food security, because like what Taizo mentioned, food is actually the basic needs of our human. Yeah. So I think other than food supply or food security as a whole, another impact that I would like to also bring across is more on a personal or individual level. So with this experience about staying at home, we are talking about human wellness, about emotional wellness and all. Perhaps there'll be one group of people that really enjoys this thing, staying at home, discovering a passion, learning a new skill. But there must be another group of people whom are actually suffering because of this kind of a stay at home initiative. So I guess we have another group of vulnerable people which are perhaps living alone. So how do we actually take care of this group of people at this meantime? And also especially, we are all, getting connected through technology. How about, say, a group of seniors that perhaps don't know how to use Zoom or any other teleconferencing? Where do they get their emotional support from? I guess this is something in which after COVID, we should really I feel personally, we should really take a look into. Yeah.
I see. And also maybe additional question to you is, because you don't need to represent Singapore, but your personal opinion, Singapore actually physically small. Is that possible to make a little bit more decentralized approach, like Taizo mentioned? What do you think?
Personally, I think it's possible. Why do I think it's possible? Maybe I'll state you an example. So I think with this 30 by 30 vision, I think perhaps to elaborate a little bit more about this 30 by 30 vision for our international friends who are joining us today. So Singapore has embarked on this 30 by 30 vision in terms of our food security. So it means that we are aiming to produce 30% of our food demand locally by year 2030. So this is our 30 by 30 vision. And as part of this 30 by 30 vision, we see that there are a lot of initiatives upcoming, talking about how can we have urban farming right to where, right at where we are staying and all. So maybe what I could do is Atsushi, if you don't mind, I can do a share screen. I wanted to share with the audience about this picture that I've come across.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a good segue because this is the second question actually for food and also agriculture theme.
Yeah. Yep. So maybe I will use this as an illustration. So like I shared, this is our 30 by 30 plan, and you can see that there are actually three main pillars for this vision. And in particularly to this point, I would like to also just zoom down to the second pillar about grow local, about how we can explore alternative spaces for food production. So on that basis, you are now, I think in the past, you probably would see this more often now. So I'm not sure if you're able to see the picture that I'm showing on my screen.
Yeah, I need a senior grass to see.
Yes, so it's again, for the international friends over here, at the background, what you're seeing is basically one of Singapore's iconic sin, which is called public housing. And 80% of Singaporean lives in such public housing. And what we are right now seeing, this sin in the foreground is something really rare. I don't see it very often. I don't see it at all among where I'm staying. I was sharing about this picture, about how we'll see more urban farm appearing in our neighborhoods. So talking about decentralized farming, why not? Why must farm only be in certain part of Singapore? Now you're probably going to see more farms surrounding all of us, because now I think that the public agencies that's driving this is also setting aside more of such common areas for the purpose of urban farming.
That's great idea. So it's kind of like decentralized farming and, grow your own food or something like that. So Taizo, what do you think about urban farming possibilities? Why do you see some of the potential of the urban farming?
Generally speaking, the agriculture is not universal, right? Yeah, based on the local conditions or climate. Of course, agriculture or food culture will be very different, diversified. But generally speaking, in this kind of the with COVID-19 or the post-COVID-19 era, we need stability or security of the food production. So in that sense, urban farming is obviously the essentials for especially for big cities in the world.
Right. Yeah. We need some innovation because this moment leafy product will be fine, but we don't have other crops and also things like that to grow on the urban farming. So we need to find a further, different technology and also startup, I guess, right? So what about restaurant? Now in Singapore as well, restaurant business are so suffered, and then of course the takeaway delivery is available, but fundamentally that would change the people's behavior, I guess, right? Because we're ordering every day and they get used to it. I don't know what would happen 2-3 months later. People will come back to the restaurant. I don't know. Taizo-san, what do you think? The behavior change because of that.
In my gut feeling, of course, eventually the COVID-19 will be settled. I don't know, 6 months later or 1 year later. But according to the history, the Spanish flu, the second big waves and third big wave came after 2 years later or 3 years later. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. So I don't think it will end up within this year. I read many articles that various kinds of the new viruses are still around the world. So Mr. Bill Gates said that once in 5 to 10 years, this kind of big pandemic will come. So we have to live together with this kind of the viruses. So in that sense, as you already know, that the business model of the today existing business model of the restaurant and bars, F&B, doesn't work, right? So they pay the fixed cost to the landowner, and also invest the interiors and even the exteriors, and also the waiting for the customers to come, right? So once the government said that says that we will shut down or lock down, and then they can't afford, they can't sustain even
Right.
a couple of months. They can't sustain. So I think we should definitely change the business model. The first one, in my opinion, there are two ways, two directions. The one is together with the landowner, creating a revenue share model to change so that we can turn the fixed cost, the land costs as a tenant, to the variable cost. And so it's a revenue sharing model with the landowner. So that's the one thing, but I don't think that many landowners will accept that kind of business model, right? Secondly, the second direction is, instead of having the fixed place as a restaurant or bar, maybe chef or bartenders will go anywhere where the customers there.
Like a Jaden. Like a Jaden.
Yeah. Mobile bartender, mobile restaurant, or temporary pop-up. Pop-up will be the permanent form of the restaurant or bars. So we should definitely support the entrepreneurs who will develop the good technology to support that kind of the changing model.
So one question. So JTC obviously is brand owner, right?
Yep.
So it's not official comment from you, but what do you think? It's kind of revenue share model or something like that, new model, from a brand owner perspective. Any idea?
Revenue share model is not something that we have not explored before. To be honest with you, as you may know, JTC manages a lot of industrial spaces, commercial spaces in industrial sites. So we are talking about industrial canteen in Tuas. That's the super west side of Singapore. Industrial canteen, or perhaps Atsushi, you might be familiar. Cafe, opening in say Jurong Innovation District in Cleantech 1. It's hard to sustain unless there's a critical mass. Right. So it's hard to attract a canteen operator, a F&B operator to go over unless there's a critical mass. And more often than not, in our industrial estate, this is something that we struggle a lot with because we are talking about critical mass. Perhaps we don't really have a critical mass as compared to downtown or even shopping malls, etc.
Right.
So I guess such a model is not something new for us. We have explored, and perhaps I think we are already implementing for some of the areas based on such models. But I think this is something that's definitely workable. Definitely workable in terms. Should there be a win-win situation for both the landlord and the F&B?
Yeah. Especially lumping up period, right? I don't know how many years, but the beginning, almost nobody to the certain, number of the people around. During that, period, at least, revenue share or do together for collaboration, manner rather than just brand owner versus, tenants, right? That also might be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
And and also, of course, go ahead.
When we look at the history, in Singapore, there is a very great food culture called hawkers.
Yes.
Right? And also, even in Japan, everybody loves sushi, right? but the sushi started in Edo period, and sushi restaurant is a hawker actually. Yeah, no sushi chef had the sushi restaurant, fixed sushi restaurant. It's a very casual pop-up stand originally. So maybe even the sushi restaurant will go back to the origin. So we don't have to worry about that kind of shift.
Yeah, right. But Taizo-san, do you believe the sushi culture can sustain because the sushi is very human touch, right? And the COVID-19, we need some invention, right? Because it's not possible to sanitize every single piece.
Yeah, so the sushi chef will have to show off the passport.
Oh, okay. Passport, yeah. COVID-19 proof. Then, okay, it's additional proof will be required, right?
Virus proof, chef.
Yeah. That's also good, interesting segue, because what will happen for travel industry and also business trip, right? Because someone said, oh, in the future, everybody need to carry the maybe digital identity card or something. Oh, I have an antibody, of the COVID-19. So what do you think, that kind of things? It will happen as a
Yeah, obviously. I read the article yesterday that some blockchain guys, I heard that more than 60 companies, the blockchain providers, developers got in one place and not physically, but online. But that they started making a consensus of the distributed identification system. As a passport. It doesn't depend on government, but we by ourselves, we will prove that this person is safe. He's not a virus carrier or something like that.
Oh, so in that sense, in the future, having and not having that proof will be very different. So maybe create another discrepancies or something, maybe poor country cannot have it, but chatting. So in that sense, that's more like a well-controlled managed society situation, right? So as far as I know, Singapore is great to contain the virus and also manage the situation, right? But someone said that Singapore, it's kind of a little bit scary because government see everything. And of course, this is not your official comment, but what do you think? It's kind of big brother situation could be in the future as well, or Singapore could be different, or maybe, I don't know, what would happen in the future. So monitor the people.
Guess in the future, it will still be like that. I think on that, to be honest, I guess Singapore is small. We are able to do things fast. My personal opinion is because I guess the government really have quite a good control over what things are doing. So, be it for example, for this particular work from home, they are able to activate this really quickly, get their entire team up and just, get all the relevant people together and activate this really quickly and as much as possible at a very low or minimize disruption to the businesses or to individual as possible. So I guess in future, to be honest, I feel that even after COVID, it's not. I don't see that the Singapore government would have a lesser control over individuals or companies. I guess they would have if not, it will have an equal or if not a tighter control over people in Singapore in general.
I see. Yeah. I see. Of course, it's a kind of tendency of the all governments and also countries. But how could we have the balance of privacy versus Big Brother monitoring? And it's quite a hard question, so no single answer. Taizo-san, do you have any view of that perspective?
Yeah. In my opinion, whether the government or that kind of centralized organization will be the Big Brother or not depends on the transparency. It doesn't matter of the control. It's not a matter of the control, but the transparency.
Transparency.
Yeah. So in that sense, the Singaporean government compared to the other countries, that they have a stronger power to control or give the orders to the citizens than other countries, literally. But from my perspective, I feel that since the Singaporean government is sharing the info in a very timely manner,
right? That's true. Yeah, very transparent.
And right information at the right timing. So that's why we as a citizen we feel more comfortable. So, for example, if you look at Japan, which I familiar with, right? No transparency. So
no, zero.
We don't know what kind of thing the government is thinking or they're doing. So
it's a total opposite. Yeah.
Right. So
I see.
the Japanese government has less control as a country, but no transparency. So that's why we're scared.
Yeah. It's more like a trust will happen through transparency, I guess, right? That's a kind of point. So, okay, we're actually running out of time, but I think I'd like to ask one question because this is important for you, Taizo, especially the learning. So now online learning is happening, and also a lot of no teachers sometimes, right? And then what would happen for the learning space education? Because people realize, okay, work from learning from home is totally fine, and then no teacher will be required in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, from my perspective, who are willing to update the education system to the new one, the COVID-19 is really the big opportunity, the big following wind to accelerate the updating the education system to the new one. Because every single teachers or educators or schools, they have to go online. So everybody was seeking for a way to how to teach the curriculums, how to execute the curriculums and so on, programs and so on. But they will very quickly they will come to know that instead of the teaching in a traditional way or in online, but the teachers will be the good facilitator. Or a moderator of the self-directed learning. So I was thinking like that, and also I've been advocating this kind of things for a long time. But before the COVID-19, some people will understand, but some not. But in these days, everybody can
understand that.
Feel. Not only just
feel,
understand, but feel.
I see.
Yes, I agree. So that's why the innovation will be accelerated.
Yeah, it's a very good tailwind, right? I think so. Yeah. So Chinese, you're a mother, right? So
yes.
What do you think for your kid, the baby, what kind of education or learning you think you want to give as a mother?
As a mother, yeah. I think I didn't share with everyone. I'm a mother of a 16-month-old boy. Yeah, so I guess learning to me would change drastically when he's about, going to primary school. It's no longer going to be a classroom setting whereby they teach everything by the textbooks. We are going to have more experiential learning. Teacher, the role of teacher, I totally agree with Taizo, will transform drastically. It will no longer be a teacher who teach for the sake of teaching or just referring to textbooks and all. It will be, totally agree, facilitator. It will be someone that will care about the mental well-being of a child, because it will be more personalized as compared to one to many. It will be perhaps the group might be smaller, and what I'm saying is that we'll probably see a more in terms of personalized learning, kids would be able to choose something that they wish to learn. Just like now perhaps during our university, or if not, I think during secondary school days, we are allowed to choose whether do we want to take certain topics like accounting, but probably that's only accounting that's available. What about coding? What about other subjects like other subjects that a kid wants to learn? Is there an avenue for a kids to voice out their interest and for a learning institution to teach them whatever that they are interested in? I think this will shape the educational system in time to come, and I believe that my boy in future, he will be, I believe that he will be attending a classroom that will be very, very different from what I have attended or from what you guys have attended.
Yeah, that's great. So let's get together because we are doing the project together. So why don't we create actual, new running place or school, or online or physical, whatever it is, right? That'll be awesome, right? So I'm hoping to have that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of just conclude our session, but okay, we are not giving any answers. That's my intention. It's more like we try to share the questions. Everybody need to think and about it, right? Like what will be the future of the society, either Big Brother or more, versus the other side, or in between, or nationalism and or global supporting collaboration, or what would happen to healthcare system, new norm, maybe more focus on prevention and also food. And then of course, what's the sustaining food system will be required. And learning, of course, more self-directed and also not rely on the teachers when teachers work with different. So all those kind of things will be meaningful for everybody to rethink or imagine for the future state. So that concludes our session. And then I'm going to share the one URL of the YouTube on the chat box, which actually we are running a several project under Audacity. And then you can check the YouTube later on. No need to do now, but I'll cut and paste, on the chat box. So please check our project, then those projects will be introduced, during the breakout session. So you can enjoy each breakout session to run more. So thank you very much, and Taizo and Charlie. And then, we, redefine the future with a new norm and new, normal. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.